Welcome back to my channel. I'm so grateful that you are here. And today we're going to be talking about how to work with your menstrual cycle with your business. So if you are running your own business, your own soul-led business, this can also really come into play as well if you are working a job that's quite flexible, or you want to just understand where your body is during each phase of your cycle to apply yourself best in your job role. So let's begin with our menstruation phase, our bleed time. This is the first phase of our cycle, and it's a very yin time, so a very feminine time, and very much a time that you want to be in just your own energy, right? And it's very much the time that we need to let go of having to do things. So when we are in our bleed time, it's really important that in the other phases of our cycle, which I will go through, we try to prepare our work life, our business to be set up so that it can allow us to be more in flow during our bleed time. So basically what I'm saying is if you are someone who does presentations, maybe you run Zoom meetings or you do some sort of like events or something, it's probably best like to do that in your ovulatory phase, and your bleed time is more the phase to just be inward and just really be in your own energy. So another way that you can honor the bleed time in your business or in your work time is by actually speaking your truth and by saying that you are not in the energy right now to do X, Y, Z, and to actually speak up in that to honor the rest and rejuvenation. This may look like organizing with, if you do work for someone else, organizing with your boss that maybe have every month that your bleed, the first day of your bleed is just light duties at work, or you work from home that day. That can be a really powerful way for your body to just feel like you are way more connected, because it is a time of deep connection. Some tangible ways that you can implement during your bleed time to allow your physical body to be honored is by applying warmth to your womb, taking a heat pack with you to your job if that is something you can do, wearing blue light blocking glasses. This is to block out the artificial light. One of my good friends, Kira Lee Wellness, I'll leave her like linked below or something. Actually, I'll leave our podcast recording that we did together linked in this video, so you can go and have a listen and understand a bit more about artificial light. But it is very important to definitely block it during your bleed time. Another way would be to take breaks, take rest breaks to go and stand out on the earth barefoot in the sun. The sun is so important for our menstrual cycle, and the earth is also so important. So just making sure that you're getting out in nature as much as possible. This could even just look like having your lunch out there. So we're going to jump into our follicular phase now, and this is the phase that comes after our cycle begins. So this is the second phase of our cycle, our follicular phase, and this is very much the playful, fun energy sort of phase. During your follicular phase, you may recognize within yourself, and this is very much the time in business, in work, in career, to brainstorm, to jot down those ideas, to really lay them out so that you can begin to set the intentions for the rest of your cycle and what's to come over the next month. So your energy will begin to slowly rise through your follicular phase until you reach your ovulatory phase. So just remember that slow and steady is also important. Yes, we can get big surges of energy during this time, but it's also very much important to really still allow your body to be in that feminine flow and just take your time. You may notice heightened creativity during this time. So this is very much a time where if you have projects to begin them now. You will very much get the most out of it, especially just how your whole body is in this phase. As the menstruation phase also is a time of reflection, the follicular phase is very much a time of looking at those reflections that you may have had during your bleed time and then implementing them. Very much, as you can feel, a time of implementation. So let's move into our ovulatory phase, which is our fertile window. And this is the phase where our confidence is at its peak. Our energy levels are at its peak. And it is very much the time where if you do run presentations, if you do, things to be seen, this is the time to be seen. It's a very heightened time of communication and being able to communicate with ease. So if you can try and work around, setting up podcast interviews, if that's something you do. I know that's something I do. I'm just using that as an example. When I work with my business, let's go into that. So when I work with my business, my ovulatory phase is very much when I'm planning podcast recordings with guests to come on my episode or to go on other people's podcast, it's very much a time of me jumping in and doing my recordings for YouTube, for my podcast, for whatever it may be, maybe creating some content in this time. It's very much the time of, if I have events, I will hold them at this time, as long as it's not my full moon events, of course, because full moon, I currently bleed with the full moon. But yeah, it's very much a time of just getting yourself out there, getting yourself seen, and you're much more easily able to communicate. If you are someone who is wanting to make a sales pitch at work, or, ask for something at work from your boss, and you don't find that you are a very confident person during your ovulatory phase, I invite you to lean into that then. It is very much the time that you are going to be feeling your most confident. Now let's talk about the luteal phase. So the luteal phase is the completion phase. It is the final phase of our cycle that comes after ovulation and pre-bleed time. And the luteal phase is very much a shift from like being very outward and communicating a lot to coming back in again. And it's very much an unconscious part of our cycle, in the sense that it's a time of release and it is a time of letting go, which, yes, the bleed time is, but this is very different. It's that completion phase. So I recognize in this time that I do have, a lot of, if things are coming up, sometimes they're not mine, and all of the things. So this also will allow you to, when you begin to work with your cycle and have that discernment with what is yours and what isn't yours, and come back into yourself, it's such an intuitive time that you are then able to, in your external world, notice what isn't true. So calling out bullshit quite easily, right? It will also be a time in business where you may feel, or in work, where you may feel like your energy levels are beginning to decrease, because they are. But it's almost like this dreamy scape of, maybe you have ideas coming through to you when you're daydreaming. Maybe you journal and you think of some great ideas. I know for me, this is what can happen for me in my luteal phase. It's a very intuitive time, and like I said, it's kind of that unconscious time. So it's like maybe things have been swirling around in your unconscious mind, and then during your luteal phase, they'll just gently begin to present themselves as you make space for the new. And that is a huge thing with the luteal phase as well, with the completion energy, is letting go of the old and allowing the newness to come through. So this is also very much the same energy as the menstrual phase, although with the luteal phase, because it's the completion, it's really letting it go in this last phase of the cycle. So where can you, tidy, maybe like look at tidying up your office just a little bit, not overexerting your energy, but just creating some extra space so that walking into work or walking into your business, you're feeling even more at ease and less overwhelmed, because this is a phase where overwhelm can creep in. I do definitely recommend during your luteal phase to keep tasks and to-dos and all of that at a very minimum if you can. Of course, it's hard to have control over these things, but just working with your cycle can allow your days to be so much more productive. And when you begin to cycle sync in this way with your work, it is actually life-changing, because you'll get so much more done in the phases where you've got that energy to do it. So in your follicular phase, when you're quite creative, in your ovulatory phase, but where you're quite confident, your luteal phase where you're quite inward, you can still get a lot done in these three phases. It's just the different things that you're doing. So I hope this episode has helped you. It's not even a podcast, it's a YouTube video. I'm just so used to recording podcasts, but I hope this has helped you so much and you can implement some of these things into your life. Please remember, rest is not something to feel shame or guilt over. As women, we are not built to live in the society that we have been conditioned to believe we are. Men are on a 24-hour cycle and we are on a 28-day cycle. So it truly makes sense for us to start connecting back in with our cycle so that we can get the most out of life and feel incredible. I hope this has helped you. I love you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.